Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode, another feature, another, I don't know what the right word is, of
Right.
this Superconductors of Love Summit. This is going to be amazing. And I'm so delighted that Martha and I get to be here with Jaime Goldstein. I met Jaime uh, 3 or 4 years ago. She was doing a summit and she had contacted me and asked me to be a part of it on Mercury retrograde, which I love that topic. And then she did another one and I did something on the lunar standstill and it was just so fun. And Martha, same thing. That's how I connected with you too, because you were doing you're inviting me to be part of things that you were doing. Uh
Well,
so go ahead.
actually, do you know how I got inspired to do the ones I did, including this one now? So this is now my third one leading, right? It's because of Jamie's.
See, I love how it all weaves together.
And just to say, actually, the reason in particular I got inspired by Jamie was because I had been seeing people running summits and all that, but it felt most of the time it felt kind of salesy and like out of integrity, and I didn't want anything to do with that. But I kept getting told by, people would say, "Oh, you really should run a summit or do a something." And I just would feel sick to my stomach thinking of doing it the way I was seeing it done. And then I saw Jamie doing hers, and then she asked me to be a speaker in her second one. And I experienced it from the inside out, and I went, "Yes, this is the right way. This is so good." So, yeah,
Yes,
here we are.
beautiful. Love that so much.
Like 3 years later, here we are. Wow.
Yeah. So
So good.
so can you tell we're really excited you're here, Jamie?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. And I think Martha was at Mercury Summit. I think we started messaging maybe after that
Yeah.
summit. So
Mhm.
that it was that. It brought us all three together in many senses. So it's really special to be here with both of you.
Mhm.
Yes, and we're so excited about what you're going to talk about on the nodes. And I was just thinking about how, like, we were talking about the weaving of all the ways that we connected. And that is so much Virgo South Node is all about the weaving, weaving the web. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I'm so honored to be here with both of you, and I'm just feeling so inspired. And it was so wild. I discovered in our discussion before starting the recording is the real inspiration that was coming to me for this was the exact when the North Node and Neptune were exactly conjunct, like by arc minute. And that's when, because even a week ago, Martha, I think you had emailed me and said, "Do you know your topic for what you're going to bring through?" And I said, "I don't know. I really need to sit with it." And I just sat in meditation and prayer that what wants to come through that will bring the most inspiration and healing medicine for those that are in attendance here. And the inspiration around the Virgo South Node and Pisces North Node, particularly around Virgo South Node, this really powerful invitation to heal self-doubt, self-judgment, shame, self-criticism, and the Pisces North Node invitation to open up to more compassion, particularly self-compassion, because that's where it starts from, forgiveness and having the higher understanding that the Pisces energetic gives us to guide us on that journey. And I feel there's something so powerful around most of us have been conditioned into self-judgment, self-criticism, using shame and self-blame as a way that we think is going to motivate us to do better or be better in some way, but that really ultimately just disconnects us from the true love that we are, our infinite nature. It disconnects us from our higher self, the source energy within. And so when we can heal that, it really opens us up to the infinite divine love that we are. So I'm just really excited to be here and to hold space for this message with the both of you because it does feel like we're holding space for this message to come through together. So thank you for that. And yeah, should I just pull up the slides to kind of, I was kind of joking with Kaylin and Martha before that I'm starting with my Virgo South Node training wheels. I came up with a few slides to get me going, but then the real medicine of the message I trust is going to come through the three of us together. But I got a few to kind of ground me here. Hmm. So I just want to take a moment to kind of tune into what is the South Node and what is the North Node. And if we want to know astronomically what they are, the lunar nodes are the intersection points. Their nodes translates to knot. They're like energetic knots in the sky, but they're the intersection points of the orbit of the moon going around the Earth and the ecliptic plane, which is the perceived path of the sun going around the Earth, but it's the path of the Earth going around the sun. So there are these two, if you kind of envision two different hula hoops that were crisscrossed, there'd be two intersection points where they're crisscrossing. And those are like the lunar nodes. So there's about 5 degrees of separation with the two different planes. And so the north node is when that intersection point where the moon is going to start traveling north of the ecliptic plane, no matter what hemisphere you're in. And the south node is that intersection point where the moon is going to start traveling south of the ecliptic plane. And so the astronomy, the heady part of it doesn't matter so much, but I just wanted to give a little sense of what they are. So the South Node in the way that I connect of astrology, right? Many different traditions of astrology bring in wisdom on the lunar nodes in different ways, just like Vedic astrology, the South Node is Ketu, the North Node is Rahu, and they have their own wisdom on the lunar nodes. And so I'm just speaking to them on the way that I really work with them and connect with them. And I honor and value all different wisdom traditions and the insight and wisdom that they bring. But for the South Node, so when we all have a North Node and South Node somewhere within our astrology chart, so this will apply to wherever our lunar nodes are natally, but also the lunar nodes are always transiting around the sky. So wherever they are currently and their journey around the sky, there's going to be where they're currently, that is like our current evolutionary invitation to support where the evolutionary invitation of our own lunar nodes. The lunar nodes to me are they speak to a really powerful archetypal theme of the evolution of our soul in this lifetime. So very simplistically, and it is an oversimplification, but it can be helpful, right? The South Node can speak to what patterns have we really, in archetypal themes and stories, have we really done very strongly in previous lifetimes? And you might think of it as like our souls, like, I got it, but maybe to the point of overdoing it. So the North Node is where we're balancing out in this lifetime. And we're oftentimes, the North Node is going to be, it's often thought of our destiny, our future. So it opens up new opportunities, but leaning into the archetypal energy of the North Node can feel very uncomfortable because it's like we're moving into uncharted waters in this case. And Pisces, we're being invited to lean into an archetypal energy that maybe doesn't feel as natural to us. Even if you have a lot of Pisces energy, you're being invited to connect with the Pisces energy, perhaps in a new way. So it's where our learning, our growth, expanding our growth edges. So you might very simplistically think of like South Node past and North Node future. But to me, it's actually all about integration. So wherever the South Node is, natally and within the sky, the current sky story, we're clearing out old karmic patterns. And oftentimes every sign of the zodiac, as well as every planet, there's a range of archetypal expression and embodiment from conscious to unconscious, or you might say empowered to disempowered. There's all sorts of different ways you can relate to that energy. And I don't want to judge anything as good or bad as well. And this is part of like the Pisces North node. It's not making those judgments as good or bad. It just is. But every sign has shadow expression. So wherever the South node is, whatever our shadow expressions of that sign, it's going to bring them up so we can heal them, so we can transmute them, so we can release them. So the South Node can bring a releasing energy, a decreasing energy. It's like a valve where it's like you're letting some of that energy out that's been kind of built up and stuck and stagnant. And so we're going to be working with the South Node. What archetypal themes have we taken on that are just not supporting us in our soul's evolutionary journey anymore? Maybe it's outdated, maybe we're stuck, maybe we're stagnant, maybe it's self-limiting. But also I want to speak to the South Node brings up past life gifts with that archetypal energy as well. And I do find, even though the North Node, that polarity point is where we're really leaning into and increasing in that energy, I do find the more we kind of heal our shadow dynamics with wherever the South Node is, we relate to more of the pure essence of that sign. So we can actually begin to experience more of the gifts of that sign as well. And I kind of feel like that's what the South Node is doing because every sign has a pure essence that like just is. And then we have our current kind of cultural conditioning of the sign that like brings us away from maybe the natural essence of the sign. So Pisces, or I mean, excuse me, Virgo. Virgo is the natural essence of it. It is like that priestess archetype from the way I relate to it. It is living life as one sacred ceremony. It's being connected to the sacredness of all of life. Everything we're doing, whether it's preparing a meal, whether it's we're walking out to the mailbox, whether we're going grocery shopping, like whatever it is, it can all be done with sacred reverence and like in a ceremonial way. And to me, like that is the pure essence of Virgo. It's the priestesses and the temple tending to the sacred flame. Every act that they're doing is an act of devotion to, it's a prayer. It's a living, life is a living prayer to bring more of the divine into physicality, to bring more of the magic into the mundane. You know, it's reading that sacred patterning of earth and sky that Kaylin, you so beautifully speak to, the way you speak to the Virgo archetype. Kaylin, my every cell of my being is like, yes. And so there's an essence. But then modern day Virgo, that you might hear about Virgo being analytical and critical and OCD about organization. Those are all, to me, if you look back to the original essence of Virgo, you can see how all of those came to be in our modern world, but they lose connection with the essence of Virgo. So to me, the more we're working with the Virgo South Node and healing and clearing those karmic patterns and our shadow expressions, the more we actually can start to begin to experience the magic of the pure essence of that sign. So I just wanted to note that because it's not just about letting go, like less of wherever the South Node is. But the North Node, the polarity point, to me, this really is our evolutionary invitation of this time. We're being asked to archetypally lean into that energy. It's about learning, growth, expansion through allowing ourselves to say like yes. It's like a cosmic invitation to say yes to this archetypal energy. And this time, the South or the North Node, speaking with, I think I just said South Node, but I mean North Node. The North Node brings new energy in. So there's new energy, new possibility, new opportunities when we're leaning into that energy and saying yes to it. There tends to be an increasing energy with the South Node or an amplification of that archetypal energy. And again, like inviting everybody to transcend labels of like good or bad, because we often, you might hear in astrology, kind of, we hear like South Node bad, North Node good. That's not how it is. And sometimes with the North Node, on a personal or a collective level, we can see an increase or an amplification of the shadow expressions of that archetypal energy as well. So we do also need to be mindful of the shadow expressions of the North Node because we can amplify and lean into that as well. But in general, I find if we're aligned to our path, and our soul's evolution and we're saying yes to our soul's evolution that it brings in like auspicious like benevolent beautiful opportunities wherever the north node is and it's it's really to me wherever the north node perhaps currently is in the sky that is bringing new opportunities for our future for our destiny for our evolution so all of us have our my lunar nodes are Virgo Pisces. So I am in my nodal return being Virgo South node, Pisces North node. The invitations of this nodal access that we're all experiencing collectively, this is a big archetypal theme of my soul's evolution and this lifetime. But you might have your lunar nodes somewhere else. Like maybe your lunar nodes are in Aquarius Leo. And that's your big archetypal evolutionary journey in this lifetime. But the Pisces North Node, Virgo South Node, that invitation is going to support your Aquarius Leo nodes or wherever they are for you. So,
Can I
um,
add a
oh
couple?
yeah, oh yes, please.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, a couple things. One is the nodes also have to do with the eclipses. And so what we're going to have, I don't know when Jamie's presentation or our interview is airing, but we have a South Node lunar eclipse on March 14 happening with the full moon in Virgo.
On
So
my lunar nodes,
yeah,
my 1 degree from my lunar nodes.
and it's a total lunar eclipse, meaning the shadow of the Earth is on the face of the moon. So we're looking at our own shadow. This could not be more perfect with what you just said about how the South Node is about looking at our shadow, because we're going to have an opportunity to see that. And for those in the United States, all across the United States, you're going to be able to see this eclipse. Pretty spectacular, pretty amazing that that's happening. And then on March 29th, we'll have a North Node eclipse, although it's in Aries, I think. But it's so close to the North Node, and it's a partial solar eclipse. It's not total. So the reason some of them are partial and some of them are total is how close the nodes are to where the sun and the moon are at the time of their being full or their being new. And so we have a total lunar eclipse because it's really close, and we have a partial solar eclipse because it's not as close. Anyway, but it's also amplifying that North Node destiny. So we're starting with, and interesting how this is just happens to be lining up. We're starting with the South Node and moving to the North Node in this eclipse. The eclipses amplify, energize, you know, I like to think of a total lunar eclipse as actually both a solar eclipse and a total lunar, but a total lunar eclipse is an acceleration of time. You see all the phases of the moon in a very short period of time, like 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours most. You go from a full moon to the dark of the moon, back to the full moon. And then a partial solar eclipse, well, a total solar eclipse, you go from day to night to back to day. So that's an acceleration too. But the thing is what we're holding in intention around this time is so important. And so I just love what you've explained and what you've shared about what these mean, because these are the things we can tune into during these eclipses. And it feels very like aligned, exciting. I'm pretty lit up about it. Can you tell?
I love that you brought in the eclipses because it's so powerful and it feels to me like because we're having that Aries solar eclipse it's our first Aries eclipse with the North Node in Pisces and then we're going to be moving into a Pisces solar eclipse next time around it feels like this invitation of we just completed the North Node in Aries now the North Node's moved into Pisces and to me I think of it as this very amplified new moon energy so we have this invitation to really seed something magical into our life that's like the culmination of what we experienced in our evolution while the North Node went through Aries now that it's in Pisces. I'm just kind of
And it's
feeling
also keeps illuminating that Pisces Aries theme that we've been talking about and that And it's like this Aries Pisces dance or the Pisces Aries dance, however you want to look at it, because the North Node's in Pisces, but the eclipse is in Aries. The Venus cycle, some people are looking at it as an Aries, some people might be looking at it as in Pisces, but I'm seeing it as Aries Pisces. And the retrogrades starting of Venus and Mercury in Aries, going back to Pisces, going back to Aries, all of the things that are going on. It's just so here's just another Aries Pisces piece for us to tune into.
And then I'm sure, I bet, Jamie, you're going to say more about this in your slides in a second. But what's coming to me also as you're talking is if I feel into that Virgo total lunar eclipse on the South Node, it's like it feels like that first eclipse, which again, lots and lots of us will be able to see visually if we happen to be in the Americas. uh yeah, it's like it feels important in this moment today together to really feel into, okay, what I feel like we're being given an opportunity, right? With this total lunar eclipse on the South Node in Virgo. So all those things you just talked about, Jamie, about the what we could be releasing, and I think we'll get into that more in a minute, but what we could be releasing from the aspects of Virgo energy that maybe no longer serve us or that we've carried from past lives or whatever it is. Plus all the incredibly powerful Virgo gifts. I mean, I have Virgo moon on my Virgo ascendant, right? Like I love Virgo. Okay. Um, and then Kaylin and I both have the Pisces sun and so I love Pisces too, but to be able to really be with really, I would say even I can imagine us on on the day of the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, which again is the night of the 13th into the 14th. So depending on where you are in the world. Yeah. Um, one thing I could imagine us sitting with is really presencing with the energy of Virgo as it at its essence, inviting in the wisdom of that Virgo energy that is there for all of us, no matter whether we have a planet there or not, quote unquote. Um, let that like pour through into the world, into this eclipse portal time. And when I feel the South Node, especially like a lunar eclipse on a South Node, I can feel so many gifts pouring in. And then I can also feel an opportunity for the whatever is ready to be released to go out. Like it feels like a literal portal in and out both. Yeah. So
Yeah.
clearly we need to air this before that eclipse.
I think so. Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
I
Yeah, I can
love
getting
this.
chills. Mhm.
Virgo,
And
and it's such a sign that's been so misunderstood. I mean, you could say that about every sign in many senses, but the medicine of Virgo is so powerful and so beautiful, and I think often does not receive like what it needs to receive. Because I mean, as someone with a Virgo South Node, I have really grappled with, and I'm gonna have a slide on this, some of the Virgo things I've really grappled with, the intensity of the Virgo South Node, the just impossible expectations I put on myself that creates so much intense emotional turmoil. I mean, you pair that with also having a Scorpio moon, there's a lot of intensity there. The self-doubt, the self-judgment, the self-criticism, our harsh inner critic can often be connected to Virgo. And often, Saturn. There's different places in the astrology chart you could connect it with, but I have really grappled with these like more shadow expressions of Virgo. But the more and more I've gone through my astrological journey, I have connected with the really powerful medicine of Virgo. I mean, like astrology is so Virgo, reading the sacred patterning of earth and sky, living cyclically, living more in alignment with that seasonal rhythm of life, tapping into all the wisdom and magic of tuning into the solstices and the equinoxes and the cross quarters, really like living in alignment with that wheel of the year and like celebrating it is like, it's a very Virgo thing as well. Interestingly, none of those like kind of 8 points actually like are in Virgo because it's a mutable sign, but it's like a very Virgo thing. So it's so interesting. I'll just kind of pull up the slide on.
Can I throw in just a
Oh yeah, of
sorry,
course.
just to throw in a couple other things? The yes, and just to point out again, maybe we can pick this up in a minute. The lunar eclipse, I realized when I was recording the video for the summit with Melanie, Melanie Reinhardt, it's actually going to be trining Uranus almost
Yeah.
exactly. So it's so Uranus and Taurus, right? And so that brings in a really, really beautiful element of the lunar eclipse for me. Again, bringing us back maybe to our divine intelligence, our divine truth, our divine alignment, all those things. Um, and really supporting this, bringing in the Virgo truth, the Virgo intelligence, the Virgo wisdom, all of it. Uh, and what was my other? Oh, and when I feel into the big picture, again, thinking ahead to what is going on in the whole year of 2025 and into 2026, we're talking about in the summit so much about the Pisces Aries dance, and what this is feeling like a portal to, in a sense, is, among other things, the eventual Neptune Saturn conjunction that's going to happen February 20th, 2026 at 0 degrees of Aries, right? So it's, again, I feel like for me, really, really helpful. It feels really good to me to think of, okay, this is all for our benefit in a sense, right? So what is this lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, both? But what is this time right now in March of 2025? The divine timing is perfect for a reason, right? And it's one step on the way to every other step, including that February 20th, 2026 conjunction coming. So it's like maybe we could, one way I could think of it is we can devote in every moment, there's something we can devote ourselves to. It's a very Virgo thing, actually, to devote ourselves to something in service of, the greatest, highest expression of where we're heading, like where we are right this minute, but also where we're going. Um, yes, in other words, to think of this eclipse, the first eclipse, as being in service of, literally in service of the healing we need to really show up fully for everything else.
Oh, so beautiful. I'm feeling all of this. So, yeah, this is, it feels like some of the first step is having that awareness of maybe where have we been out of balance with how we're relating to the Virgo dynamic. And like this is actually very Virgo South. No, not to bring judgment or blame or shame on ourselves for how we've been out of balance, just noticing and and through that noticing that there's an opportunity for rebalancing here. Nothing has to be labeled as good or bad. And as a Virgo South node, I'm so quick to judge myself as doing something wrong or bad or it's a failure. With Virgo, the shadow can be sometimes, if it's not 100%, 110% perfect, it's a complete failure and I'm wrong and I messed up. And I mean, that's so, I was telling Kaylin and Martha a story that I've been just so much of this Virgo South Node has been such a theme for me in my life that when I was little, like about 5, I'd want to play spelling tests. So I'd want my parents to give me words to spell, and it's also like very Virgo, like the spelling test. Um, but cat, dog, like whatever it was that I could spell when I was 5. And my dad, I missed one of the words on the spelling test that I was playing for fun, pretend fun spelling test. My dad wrote A instead of A plus on the paper. And he walked into the room, he left the room and walked back. And I was just like in tears, just shredding that paper to like bits and shreds because I was so upset at myself that I missed spelling a word and got an A instead of an A plus. And it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Because that level of like perfection was not even something my parents conditioned me into. If I look at it more from astrology, I kind of came into this lifetime with that like intensity around perfection that was my parents did not like expect perfection to that degree. So a lot of it is like past life things that are actually for me like coming through in this lifetime. But that level of intensity has really, I've dealt with it most of my life. I will say since I gave birth to a baby, when the Venus cycle, Leo Venus cycle started in August of 2023, that's kind of how I remember my baby's birthday is when that Venus Sun conjunction was around then. Sometimes I accidentally like write that on paperwork and then like his father is like, that's not his birthday. I was like, oh, that's when Venus and the sun met that. I got confused. But ever since, that's a tangent. Ever since having a baby, there's something that's been so healing for me on this Virgo South node is that I've been able to connect more with, it's just like whatever I'm doing, however I'm showing up, for example, today, however I'm showing up in this offering is good enough. And in fact, it's perfect for the moment. And I don't have used to when I would do something like this, I would be the night before in all this emotional turmoil on like I have to bring the perfect message through and trying to create all the slides and presentation and all of that. And then I could usually drop into the moment when I'm there. But then after, I'd just be so hard on myself around where I stumbled over my words, where I mixed things up, where I forgot something I wanted to bring through, like to the point of like in tears about it. And I don't have that level of intensity anymore. That's something around giving birth was really healing for me. It's just more a byproduct of I don't have a lot of time to be in emotional turmoil over perfecting things because my value is being like 100% present to my son. So now I don't have time to do that anymore. And it's actually been really healing. It's like, I can show up and it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's actually perfectly perfect. And it's okay. But this is such like a Virgo type of thing we're working with. So some of the themes we're letting go of are needing to know. The Pisces North Node is this invitation. It's like letting go of needing to know and just going with the divine flow. Like that's this nodal access. We're letting go of anxiety-driven control tendencies, needing to control my life and others, myself and others and life around me through like more anxiety control, as in like maybe trying to control what others are doing or being obsessive around, I have to have all the details. Like that can really kind of spin us out. We're being asked to let go of that. We're being asked to let go of the over prepping, over planning, over analyzing, right? Being more in the like left-brained analytical, letting go of perfectionistic tendencies that are keeping you stuck and stagnant. And also letting go of the, if it's not 110% perfect, like it's a mistake, it's a failure, um, needing to know all the details before moving forward, letting go of your harsh inner critic and judgment of self and others. Ultimately, judgment of others is really about judgment of self. Letting go of like, so Virgo is a sign of being of service, and that's a beautiful thing. But where are we of service where it's not authentic or in integrity to us because we're doing it to feel worthy, valued, needed, belonging, accepted, right? There's a lot of incoherent energy that we emit when we're being of service that way. Can we be of service, right? When it just is truly authentic to us, when it's truly an alignment for us. So Virgos, the strong Virgo energetic can have a hard time when someone's asking us to be of help. It can have a hard time saying no because often there can be a shadow of, well, I want to feel worthy. I want to feel valued by you. I want to be accepted by you. I want to be liked by you. So I'm going to be of service, not because it's authentic to me. Maybe I'm depleted and I don't have the energy, but I'm going to do it anyways and deplete myself more. It's like, no, we can say no sometimes. That if someone, most situations, if someone's asking me to be of service and it's truly, I don't have it within me, I'm not resourced enough, there's probably someone else that can be of service. I mean, not in all circumstances, but in most, right? So we can learn how to say no and learning those healthy boundaries. That can be so important. Oftentimes with the Virgo energetic, we might be volunteering to be of service when nobody's asking us, but we feel the help is needed. And if it's not an alignment for us, it ultimately just depletes us and our energy. So we're also being asked to let go of unhealthy physical routines. So that can mean a lot of different things. when we're speaking about like our physical health, that can sometimes be a portal to bringing in a lot of shame and judgment around that. So we don't need to have that. Like we don't need to be it's not necessary, right? The Pisces North knows this is not necessary to have shame over recognizing I have this unhealthy maybe habit or pattern in my physical life that's not supporting me. And maybe I can let go of that and replace it with a more healthy pattern. And for some of us with, maybe a strong Virgo signature, sometimes being obsessive about a healthy pattern or routine actually can be to a point where it's unhealthy. So maybe that's what we're being asked to let go of. I mean, it's going to be so unique. I am always amazed how multifaceted and multidimensional every sign is. So for one person, it might be to just have an honest reflection of it would serve me and my life force energy and my vitality to maybe eat a little bit healthier. Maybe for someone else, I have become so obsessive around healthy eating that it is creating dis-ease or unbalance within myself because I have so much anxiety around it that maybe to like loosen up on that. Like it's going to be so different for everyone. So I just want to point to that. And then what routines are no longer serving you? Because Virgo is a sign. It's about ritual, routine. If you go back to the priestess, but sometimes we can be very rigid with our rituals and routines where it's becoming like it's becoming we're becoming stuck and stagnant or it's becoming self-limiting. And maybe we let go of some of those and replace something that's a little more Pisces, right? Fluid, flowing. Or maybe for some of us, it might support us with to have a little Virgo South node grounding. Let's have a routine and let's bring in some more habits and patterns and routines or rituals into our life that are supportive. Like one of my favorite routines here, there's this beautiful cypress tree in the land that I live that's just like so beautiful. It's an old growth, so it's big and just beautiful. And going out and saying hi to the tree, like I love, like I have an actual like there's a real relationship with this tree. I go out and I greet it and I ask how it's doing today. And I'm so grateful to be here with you. Like that's a Virgo routine. And I just want to note to releasing some of these routines where we might be stuck and stagnant. I love routine, I love ritual, I love ceremony. Like, but sometimes it becomes over the top. In the last, when I lived in Texas a few years ago, and when I transitioned moving here to Oregon, I realized that I have so many different altars of so many different loving, beautiful intentions in my space that the number of altars I have, it's too many. It's getting out of hand. That keeping up with them and tending to them is becoming impractical and it's becoming stressful in my life. Even though they all have these like loving, beautiful intentions to them, it's too much. So when I moved here to Oregon, we're just going to have one altar and it's going to hold all the loving, beautiful intention that I want just in one place. I don't need to be like so fragmented with so many different, but that's like an example of like where has the routine become too much? It's actually become the practical has become impractical and I need to like let it go. Also, I have the story of it's just I embody so much of this like Virgo energy that we're being asked to let go through like the experience of my life. And I have such a like there's actually such a like divine humor with it as I'm sharing about it. But when I got really into understanding energy in my 20s and I was working in the schools as a school psychologist and I was dealing with a lot of very heavy energy with the students and the climate that I was working in. I loved working with those students so much, but I was absorbing so much energy that was really heavy and really challenging. So I got into my meditations and energy clearing practices and chakra clearing practices. And let me set up my energy bubble for the day. And the amount of routines and let me get my oils on and all the, do I have the stones I need in my pockets to get through the day? Like there was so much around it that I was becoming late. Like I couldn't make it on time to work because I had so many practices I felt like I had to do to routines and rituals to just like go about my day. And then again, it's like the practical thing is actually becoming impractical and causing problems because I'm late to work. And so it's like so those are just like some examples of like extreme examples of like some of this Virgo South node. And what I really want to tune into today, which I'll come back to, is where has the self-doubt, the self-blame, the shame, the self-criticism, the self-judgment where do we have an invitation to really like let go of that? But I want to ask, Kaylin and Martha, if there's anything else on the Virgo South node that's coming to you.
As you're talking about the letting go of routines and patterns and so on, it reminds me of when I was doing my priestess process back in 1995. My priestess mentor, she was really big on pattern interrupts, is what she called them. So it didn't mean that you didn't go back and do them because maybe they actually did work for you, but you would take time to interrupt those patterns so that something else could come in as a possibility, and maybe you would add something or you would change something up within the old pattern. It wasn't a way of judging the old pattern as like, okay, that, and maybe it worked really great for a long time and now it's not working so well. So if you interrupt that pattern, you can find a different way to do it in a way that's going to really be more alive and energized for you now.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And actually, I feel like the total lunar eclipse can be a pattern interrupt, literally, for all
Truly.
of us.
And especially for those who are going to get up and watch it because it's going to
Yeah.
happen in the middle of the night. So you're going
Mhm.
to have to be up late, which is not my thing, but I'm going to be up watching it for sure and watching as the shadow of the earth goes across the face of the moon. So we get to see the shadow being illuminated on the face of the moon until it gets like blood red, whatever. But yeah, that's going to interrupt my night's sleep. So
Yeah. Same.
pattern interrupt right there.
Yeah, and actually, in just to say on a practical level, in the the private sharing space for this summit, I will put a special sharing space for us all to share if you do get to witness this eclipse. Well, yeah, what is that like for each of us? And that would be an awesome thing to be able to share. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah.
Um, And the one thing I'm
Beautiful.
wondering also as we imagine being, whether or not we can see it, okay, because not everybody's going to be able to see it. If you're in most of the world, you're actually not going to be able to see it. And if you have
Depends
clouds,
on the weather too, because if it's
yeah,
black,
exactly.
then I'm
If
gonna be
it's raining,
right.
yeah, if it's raining or snowing, you probably won't be able to see it. Um, but right, but if we imagine that day being in the energies of this eclipse, we'll all be in the energies of it, no matter what. Um, so so Jamie, you've just named so many of the things that we can have the opportunity to release into the portal of the eclipse, like let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. What I'm curious, maybe you're gonna touch on this in a minute, but I'm just curious, what is it that we're also then inviting in? I think it's going to be different for each of us. We'll probably will each have things we can share again in the sharing circle, in the sharing space. What is it that then comes in as the gifts of this Virgo energy? But I'm curious to hear from both of you. What do you feel in your own being? Because you're both very familiar, of course, with Virgo, the gifts of Virgo too. What just comes into your body or yourself?
Mm. I feel like the honoring life as sacred is the
Mm.
most important gift of Virgo.
Mm.
And that's the sky, that's the earth, that's the seasons, as Jamie was talking about earlier. That's everything that's happening around us, and we are in sacred service to the divine. That is what is the most amazing aspect of Virgo, of the priestess, and there's many ways of being a priestess, so it doesn't have to be the Virgo way, of course. But if you're wanting to energize that, energizing that energy at this eclipse, because it is so connected to the priestess energy. Plus, it's also going to be very um, at the tail of the lion going into the Virgin priestess and where it's located in the sky. And the tail of the lion, Denebola, the tail of the lion, is a powerful star that helps us to get new direction, to figure out where we are going. There's a lot more I could say about that, but just that's probably the most powerful essence of this, that where it's located in the sky, as it's in the head of the priestess, with a star called Zavijava, and with the tail of the lion, the nebula. So in that point, very near the autumnal equinox point, it's going to be very close to that point as well. So we can tune into that equinox portal. And in fact, when we're seeing the moon and the eclipse, if we get to see it, we'll get to see those stars very clearly. And that's exciting. It's like I was just reading something today that was talking about an ancient culture that this guy from the US, went and he was studying their culture and they were startled and astounded to realize that he couldn't hear the stars. He couldn't hear them talking to him because and there's like then you're not really alive. I was like, oh yeah, so this is what it's all about. We lost that ability. How are we getting that back? And being with the energy, understanding the energy of this full moon eclipse, this timing of all the things that are going on, bringing back the mysteries so we can be informing them as we're being informed by them. Um, and we can begin hearing the stars again.
Literally. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's
That is incredible. I love that. And it feels so true to me that that is our natural way to hear the stars and be in connection and relationship and communication with them. Wow. And I really like what I'm sensing into to Martha is there's this Virgo has such it's an earth sign, it's mutable earth. There's a body wisdom that comes with Virgo. And to me, that particularly is our body is this really powerful vessel. It is like this multi-dimensional portal that when we can really like be embodied and tap into that wisdom, we can actually create transformation in our lives, like through the multidimensional portal of our bodies. And so there's this invitation to really connect with our body wisdom, also the earth wisdom of the earth, the trees, the elemental. I feel like the elemental wisdom is very connected with the Virgo mysteries as well. And there's this invitation to come back into living life as it is a sacred ceremony, to have the reverence for our life and the gratitude when we live life from the sacred reverence and gratitude for our life and being here and having this life and all around us, that it shifts our reality.
yes. And one thing I'll add that's just coming to me as you guys are speaking is yes, Virgo, of course, being tied to our body wisdom. And the more and more and more I've been feeling into ourselves as Gaia, one of the things I've been channeling Gaia a lot. I mean, one of my books that I literally channel is called Gaia Speaks. Okay. So, and I have my Virgo moon on my Virgo ascendant. It's like very much I get a, yeah, I have a Gaia, we are Gaia is a big theme in my work and in my life. But one of the things that keeps coming through as I really go deeply into that place of channeling Gaia is the reminder from her that she is a being of the cosmos. So even when we are tapped into our body wisdom as an earth being, I think we forget, like we have this assumption there's a separation between earth and sky, or earth and stars, but the earth is in the middle. It's a tiny dot in the middle of the cosmos. So where are we? If we're not part of the cosmos, what are we? Right? And so I love what you're saying, Kaylin, about he couldn't remember how to hear the stars. We can't, yeah. And I think all three of us do hear this. We are tapped in that way. And that's so much of what we hold space for in each in our own ways in our own work. And that feels so important and so potent. Like maybe that can be one of our intentions in this lunar eclipse even is to remember ourselves as Gaia, who was part of the cosmos, literally.
Wow.
That's one thing coming there super alive for me. Yeah.
Such powerful chills. And that's actually, it inspires me of one of my favorite sky practices is to go out into the night sky, be with the night sky. I love to have my feet on the earth and really grounded in that way as my body, the bridge and the anchor. But to kind of let go of everything I know about astrology and have learned about astrology, the planets and the stars, and to just kind of open up and invite whatever star or planet really wants to connect with me. And to even right? When I do this, because sometimes it's not a star that I'm necessarily familiar with, like, not like, when I just go out, I know this is Sirius, this is Regulus, right? This is a Pleiades. Like maybe it's a star I don't even know about. And to not just immediately, like what I want to do is pull up my star app and point it and like, who is that? Because not to do that, to actually just, even I often find that if I ask like a star, what is its name? Like to me, a different name will emerge than what we have listed as that star's name. So to just be open to having this connection to what star wants to connect to me. You don't have to know it. You don't even need to know a name for it, right? This is like kind of a Pisces practice. You don't even need to put like a label or a name on it, but to just invite whatever star wants to connect with you and just be open to receive the wisdom that it has to share with you. Maybe it was, I find sometimes like more being in like conversation, like conversing back and forth with the stars. Maybe that resonates with you, or maybe you're just opening up and receiving, and maybe nothing is necessarily coming to you as a linear string of thoughts or words, but notice what's going on within your body. Um, what are you sensing? Because there's some type of download, some type of transmission, whether you're conscious of it or not. And we don't always actually have to be consciously aware of what we're receiving. We can trust that we're receiving what we need to receive, even if we can't put a name or a label or an idea attached to it. And that this is a very Pisces practice because Pisces really transcends beyond language. It just is kind of all that is. And so I love to that's a really powerful practice for me is to just go out and to connect with a star and to receive from it.
I love what you're saying because what basically is that the stars have their light codes and they're
Yes.
sending their light codes and we open to receive them. And those light codes are activated within us, even if we don't have like a linear, logical, rational sense of what that's about. Just allowing ourselves and being in that space and being open. It's beautiful. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Literal medicine where you can
Literal
just,
medicine. Yes.
Our medicine.
Our
It's so
medicine.
powerful.
mhm.
I'll just tune into, so we've tuned into the Virgo. So Pisces North Node, what are some of the invitations we have here to maybe lean into, right? Leaning into the mystery, surrendering to the mystery that I don't need to know it all. If we knew everything about everything, like that would take the magic and mystery out of life. There's something really beautiful and magical around not knowing and releasing our need to know. Like being okay with not knowing, acknowledging I'm noticing when I have a need to know, and I'm going to surrender that. I'm going to release it. I'm going to be okay and then not knowing. Connecting with the imaginal realms and dream a higher vision for your life and the world. I mean, Pisces connects us to the higher realms of consciousness, the celestial realms, the star realms, other multidimensional realms. My Pisces is where the ocean of oneness, where everything is existing simultaneously in that formless space. And so we can really connect into a higher realm and dream a new reality forward. Dreaming is so powerful. And to me, there's not this really distinct, like Martha, how you spoke about it's not like earth versus sky or cosmos. Like the earth is the cosmos. It's not waking reality versus dream reality. There's this merging between the two. And I used to have a dream. I had a like a dream work teacher in a dream group that I used to be very connected in with. And I learned some really powerful, like the way I just relate to dreams now is that we can really dream our reality forward. It's like dreaming something forward into your life, going into those imaginal realms and dream realms, which are real realms. They're just not the physical realm, but that they're not real. They are real realms, and we can go into them, connect with something on that plane, and then bringing it into this reality. Sometimes all we need to do is connect with it on the dream realm, and then our physical reality in its own perfect divine timing, which is Pisces, things start lining up to happen in this lifetime. I know in some, I believe like in Aboriginal, the Aboriginal culture in Australia that and if I'm speaking to this wrong, please forgive me, but my understanding is that consider that the dream realm like is the real that is the real realm. Like that is almost the waking realm. And so the dream realm, it's so powerful to connect with and with this Pisces energy. So being open to the divine flow of life, just trusting the divine unfolding, the divine timing, that even though our maybe conscious mind thinks that this, I want something happening now in my life. This is how I think that it should be. That in Pisces, our higher self, the divine timing, knows what's perfect for us and is perfectly aligning things for us outside of our conscious awareness. And that sometimes what our conscious mind thinks, this is what I need to be happy or whatever it is, this is what I want, that it's not really what's truly in alignment for our higher selves. And so, what is in alignment for our higher self is being aligned kind of outside of the realm of our conscious awareness. So, just trusting in that is really powerful with the Pisces and trusting that everything is for our good that is happening, even when we can't see it, even when we don't understand it. And not to invalidate our experience or dismiss our experience or bypass it, but to know that there is a higher unfolding is part of the Pisces medicine, even my suffering. So viewing life from a higher perspective, that's kind of just what I spoke to. Being open to the sign symbols and synchronicities guiding you on your path. Pisces is that realm where it's showing us the divine, the signs, the symbols, the synchronicities to guide us. I would say we have some Virgo discernment in there. That's the gift of Virgo is discernment, because if we're out of balance with Pisces, I definitely have been. I have a strong Pisces energetic too. With my Mercury and my North node, that sometimes, I'm like, oh, everything's a sign, everything's meant to be, everything's a symbol. And I've had times where I've missed red flags because I just got into the excitement of wow, signs, symbols, synchronicity. And it's like, no, there was like a very clear red flag that I missed with my rose-colored glasses. So, we want to have a little Virgo. We want to be grounded with some Virgo discernment as well. But that life is always communicating through us symbolically and through sign symbols and synchronicities. And Pisces, it's like it's so magical, right? I notice when I'm feeling maybe a little bit of in a funk, it's like just pull out one of those oracle decks. I pull a card, something happens in that day that's so like in alignment with it, and it reminds me of there's magic here. Like life is magical, and being able to reconnect with that can be so powerful. And opening to your higher guidance, your intuition, and your mystical gifts, your healing gifts. Pisces definitely connects us with all of that. Creatively channeling from the higher realms, like Pisces is the artist that it's more about opening up, letting go, and letting something flow through you. So we all have an invitation to create that way, whether it's art or something that we might not consider art, but actually is art, maybe just our way of living. Connecting with the multidimensional possibilities, that there are always more possibilities available to us than we ever realize. It's our perception that kind of limits us and puts blinders on what we think is possible. So we can open up to more possibility. Allow your imagination and dreams to open up new doorways. I feel like Pisces, it's all of a sudden, because I can connect into that higher realm of consciousness, a doorway, a magical portal opens where there wasn't one before. I was looking this way, I did not see a portal. Now I am, and there's a portal there. Like that's very Pisces. So coming into greater unity with life through embracing compassion for self and others. There's that divine compassion that we're all doing the best we can on our journey, that in this kind of Kali Yuga that we've been born into, and we are in this changing of the ages, but that it's hard. We all come into this lifetime with trauma. And even when our shadows come up and maybe we're directing our shadows at other people and other people are projecting their shadows at us, it hurts and it's painful, but we can have compassion. That doesn't mean we don't need to have boundaries. We should have some of that Virgo earth element, healthy boundaries, right? But having that compassion can be really powerful to tap into, and healing from compassion and higher understanding. Having understanding, there is a higher perspective here. There is a higher unfolding here that, like there, even when we have something that can be so much, like for my journey of transitioning into like being a co-parent instead of in romantic partnership with my son's father, like having a higher understanding of this is a journey, like this is what my son's soul called into this lifetime, that I did, that his father did. It's all part of the journey. And so having that higher understanding instead of me being attached to this is not the way I thought it would go, can be so powerful. And healing that allows for forgiveness of self and others. The deepest level of forgiveness I think is more of a result of the healing as opposed to like it's such a multifaceted thing. On some level, yes, we can choose to forgive, but the deepest level of forgiveness comes from when we have the healing that allows us to truly forgive. And so there's something really powerful about forgiveness. And there's something powerful around the just with a Pisces North node, it's going to bring up a lot emotionally. Pisces can hold all the collective grief as well. So allowing ourselves to feel, feeling our way through, feeling the ecstatic union of being one with the divine, but also feeling the grief and whatever's here, overwhelmment, our energetic sensitivity is going to be more amplified while the Pisces North node, like we were speaking about, we have often very strong Pisces people tuning into our work have a strong Pisces energetic because we all three have strong Pisces energetics. And the when there's the Pisces energy, right, we can feel when we feel everything from everyone and from the collective, it can feel really energetically overwhelming. So knowing that our energetic sensitivity might be heightened as well, but the more we can feel and allow our energetic sensitivity to be our superpower, while many of us who are so energetically sensitive and empathic, like, I am, and so many of you are, it can feel like a curse sometimes to feel so much. But when we can allow it to be our superpower and allow the cleansing power of and the alchemy of feeling our way through and being with our emotions, the healing we do for ourselves and the collective is so, so powerful. So I want to tune into more of one aspect of the lunar node journey, but I want to also open it up to you, Kaylin and Martha, to see if there's anything else you wanted to bring in about the Pisces North node.
You're reminding me of so Pisces being the field of all possibilities, pure source energy, all of that. But also the vision quest or the walkabout. As you were mentioning the Australia piece, and I was thinking about this book I read years ago called Mutant Message Down Under by Marlo Morgan. And she winds up on a walkabout. She wasn't planning it. It just kind of happened. She got kind of tricked into it, we could say. Beautiful book. I highly recommend it. But it's how she learned to know without knowing, essentially. She's on part of the thing is that in that tribe that took her on this walkabout, everyone took a day being the leader of the tribe. And then after she'd been with them for a while, they told her it was her turn to be the leader of the tribe. And she's like, "Oh no, no, can't do that." And she's like, and because the leader's job was to find water, to hold the intent for the day, and then to find the food and that sort of thing. And she said, "Well, I can't do that." And they said, "It's everybody, too bad, your turn. You have to take a turn." Basically, she couldn't get out of it. And so she was freaking out and she was trying to figure out, like, where do I find water? Looking across the landscape. Where do I find food? Looking across, like using her logical mind until on the third day, when she hadn't found food or water, they were starting on the third day, and she was thinking, "Oh my God, I'm going to die of dehydration." She decided to go within and ask, "What do I do?" And she hears a message. And she follows that, and that actually helps her out. And then she's like, "Okay, how do I find water?" And she hears, "Be water." So she's walking along in a trance-like state, very Neptunian, very Piscean. She's walking along in a trance-like state, and she is imagining all the different kinds of water that she can possibly, and she's not paying attention to where she's going. She's no longer trying to find it outside of her. She's just following that inner guidance. And she winds up walking up to a spring of water. And the whole tribe, like she looks around and they're all standing around her just beaming because she had found the water. And then a lizard shows up and that was their dinner. And it's just a beautiful story. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is so brilliantly describing Pisces, Neptune energy and how we are so trained to think of things in a logical, rational, linear kind of way that we forget to go deep within and just ask that inner part of ourselves that already knows. It doesn't know. We don't know how we know. And then sometimes we know, and then we try to talk ourselves out of it. you get a knowing and it makes no logical sense, so you're trying to talk yourself out of it. So our opportunity, I feel, at this time is to listen to that inner knowing, trust it, follow it, and it will take us where we need to be, even though it doesn't necessarily make sense.
Knowing without knowing. I feel like that could be like that's the tagline for the Virgo Pisces nodal axis. I love that.
There's a quick story coming up for me that feels like I'm supposed to say it, which is, um, and I think it's a Virgo Pisces. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, the story is here, so I'll say it. So I was, let's see, 3 years ago, I think, doing one of the interviews I was doing for my very first summit, actually, with Dawn Bowman Brunke, who is a an animal communicator. And I had read her book, one of her books, and I was literally on my way home. I had dropped my kids off at school. I was on my way home to go do the interview with her. And for the first time ever, ever, ever in my life, and never since, I was driving down the street, and three coyotes came across the street and circled my car. And then one of them, another one, started walking really, really slowly right in front of my car and stopped and looked me right in the eyes. And I was like, I'm on my way home to go do an interview about animal communication. And I have a coyote literally stopped in front of my car, staring me straight in the eyes. Okay, I don't think this is a coincidence. So, what am I supposed to do? Right. So then I went, okay, I think so. Of course, I was like, I kind of tuned in and I was like, okay, what is here? Like, what's here? What do you want from me, kind of a thing? Or what do you want to say? So what I was expecting when I tuned in with this coyote, I thought, I assumed that I would get a sense of the coyote's perspective in the sense of like individuality. Like I thought that if I kind of tuned into the needs or the perspective of this being, I would see the world from the eyes of the coyote, right? Like I am coyote and you are human, and there's this like kind of linear, direct experience. But that is not what happened. What happened is I went into and asking the coyote what did I need to know or see? And what I experienced was I went straight up into literally like a web of life where it was my sense. I mean, I don't know, I could be totally making it up, but I'd never experienced this before. My sense was that the coyote wasn't experiencing life as a me, you. It was experiencing life as life, right? So it's a similar thing to tuning into, well, where is the water? Well, our body is water. We know where, if we really tune into that web of knowing, we will know where that, right? But we're not trained to do that anymore. And am I making this up? It feels like a Pisces Virgo combo somehow to remember that way of being. Um,
I love that. It's so Pisces Virgo. And it's that invitation of the Pisces energy also as you're sharing that story to like trust our intuition. That is to reclaim that honoring of our intuition and our intuitive knowing is part of the Pisces North Node invitation. The magic of our being too. Virgo can be what are we doing and how we're refining what we're doing, which is a beautiful thing. But Pisces is more just being. It's whatever. It's like for example, I often feel it's like I could be Virgo. I could be doing astrology or numerology or teaching yoga or sound healing. But with the Pisces, the same exact what I'm emitting from my being, from my frequency is going to come through no matter what modality I'm doing. And that being connected to that energy, our being nature, the magic of our being nature, that is the Pisces energy. Kaylin, you said, I think it was in it was some talk recently that we were doing together where you shared about the Pisces healing, the Pisces heal because Pisces is a sign of like healers, right? The healing is just being present with someone and that being present and what you're holding space for and the frequency that creates the energetic healing field for someone else's healing. It's just the being. And
Just
so
being
it's so,
present with them where they're at,
yeah,
present with them, and not having to do something, not trying to fix
yeah,
it, not trying to change it, just being present with them in the moment. And that can often be the thing that creates the healing for them because they feel gotten, they feel seen, they feel that presence as what you're talking about. They feel the
yeah.
presence of that. Yeah.
It is like being able just to connect in with that divine presence, our higher self that is like that Pisces energetic. And I just had this, I just randomly found these images that I just loved for the Pisces. Uh-oh. Oh, it's like going the other way. I click on this side to go. This is like the first time I've used a Canva slide, so I'm like learning how to use them. But to me, I feel that to me, like, what is like the essence of the Pisces Virgo access? The Virgo is this invitation to like go within and connect to the wisdom of, right, our body, the earth, the trees, Gaia consciousness. And there's this invitation that Virgo can be a very analytical sign, but when we can let go of some of that, everything is so simple, like living seasonally, living cyclically, our routines, our rituals. There's this beautiful simplicity and a wisdom that comes with the simplicity of it. But there's this beautiful like Gaia consciousness with the Virgo, mysteries, and then Pisces. I just love this image. Like, this is Pisces, right? It's a symbolic language of the divine, like, ocean of oneness. And you can see, like, that divine, like, the golden divine light coming into the water. I just love that. To me, I was like, wow, there's a transmission I'm getting about the Virgo Pisces access, just putting these, like, random images together that I found in Canva that I loved. But I just want to leave these like beautiful invitations around the nodal axis with the Virgo South Node. Watch the sacred patterning of earth and sky, like watch the seasons, what's happening to the plants in the natural world, watching the sky, watching the sun move back and forth across the sky from solstice to equinox to solstice to equinox. Return to the natural rhythms of life and cyclical living, however that feels for you. Simple health practices and purifying your body, mind, and home in a way without judgment, but in a way that feels good for you and cleansing. Pisces North Node, trusting in the divine timing and the higher unfolding. Let go and let flow. Open up to higher guidance, your intuition, and cultivate greater connection with your intuition. And so, what I really wanted to like give a little more attention to is there's like so many different invitations of the Virgo South Node, Pisces North Node, because these archetypes are so multidimensional. But when I really asked, what will open us up to the most love? What will allow us to be a stronger and more coherent superconductor of love is tuning into this aspect of the nodal axis of Virgo South Node, healing the self-judgment, the self-criticism, the blame, the shame through the Pisces North Node, embracing more compassion, particularly self-compassion, forgiveness, and connecting in with the higher understanding, seeing things from that, being able to zoom out from our personal, like conscious ego perspective and zooming out and holding the higher perspective because we are all superconductors of love. The degree to which we're connected into that in any moment may vary. And what I really find for myself, being born with a Virgo self node, when I am really in it with self-judgment and shame and criticism, it really disconnects me from Pisces, like the love that I am. I am only love. We are all love. Love is all that is. But it connects me from that connection with the love that I am and my higher self and my divine essence. And it's like I can't emit that superconductor of love energy as coherently, as strongly. And that's what I really felt could, tuning into the nodal axis, how can we heal the self-judgment, the shame, the self-criticism, the self-doubt, all of that, so we can be more powerful superconductors of love. Because when we are, I love, like, Caitlin, when you first brought that term and that connection with it into my energy field years ago, it was so powerful that when we are a superconductor of love, what we can, essentially the love that we can amplify in our own lives, the lives of those that are around us in our communities, but also the world, is really, really infinite. And so, but in one of the things around for what I've kind of through my own journey is to really do that. I have to be able to take a look at my own shadow, my own unconscious behaviors without the shame and the judgment. Can I do it with that Pisces self-compassion, understanding, and forgiveness? Because if, one of the ways we can look at it from all sorts of different angles, but most of the time when we're experiencing the self-judgment and blame and shame and all of that, it's because our the aspect of our inner child that is wounded is activated. And because that aspect of our inner child is not wounded in its essence, but we have different aspects of our inner child, just like we have different aspects of so many different other aspects of self. And in the Kali Yuga, pretty much, that we've been born into, that, we are in this amazing changing of the ages now. But the Kali Yuga that been born into, I don't know one person that has not made it into adulthood that doesn't have some type of wounding to their inner child. And, wounding might not be the term you want to use, but to me, it's a helpful term. So whenever my inner child, when there's some type of wounding that's activated, usually because someone else has maybe said something, or maybe I feel like I've made a mistake or whatever it is, it's not actually even about what's happening in the present moment. That's just a trigger to this deeper wounding that's happening. And I start engaging in the self-judgment, the self-blame, the shame, all of those things. Maybe sometimes it might even be judgment of others, but it's whatever my inner child learned to do to get through the situation. Sometimes we have if I'm really hard on myself, maybe that will, like, motivate me to be better in the future. Like, even though that actually, we know through research that doesn't, it's self-compassion, which is what inspires more positive, impactful change. It's that gentleness of ourself. But there's something really powerful about getting really in touch with our inner child and the wounds that our inner child has experienced that get activated, that can bring on that self-judgment and shame and blame. Because usually when we're doing that self-judgment, shame, blame, that's usually a sign that there is, like, the wounded, the aspect of our inner child that's wounded is activated. And we start thinking in very linear terms. We start thinking in very extreme ways, like, I'm not lovable, or I'm not worthy, or I won't be accepted, or whatever it is. Like, when the shame and blame and all of that comes up, we start thinking often in these very dichotomous ways of, and we actually start thinking that, like, the possibilities that are available to us in our present day reality are very self-limited based on these self-limiting ways that we're thinking. And it disconnects us from self-love. It disconnects us from the love that we are. It doesn't mean that the love that we are is not there, because it's there. It's always there within ourselves. But it's like the wounded inner child takes over, and we start thinking and acting in reality from the place, the consciousness of that wounded inner child, and really kind of like the developmental age where the initial wounding happened. And there's nothing wrong. We all have this. And right now, the time that we are in, as we're in this really powerful changing of the ages, these endings and beginnings of these, like, powerful, like galactic cycles that are just so epic. Whatever within ourselves that we have not been able to deal with for whatever reason, often very good reasons. But there's so much karma that's coming up, so much intensity. And if we find ourselves labeling ourselves and being very harsh and judgmental and like belittling of ourselves for whatever's coming up that wants to be healed and transmuted, we're not doing anything helpful for ourselves, really. We're just perpetuating those karmic patterns to be here. It's when we can notice, wow, there's some really deep wounding that's being activated right now. And I'm having some, maybe unconscious patterns or shadow dynamics come up right now. When we can just observe and name and notice it with a little, something, a little Aquarian detachment without being so detached to it. And then we can bring that Pisces self-compassion. Wow, this is my inner child. This is really hard for me right now. My inner child is really, really hurting right now. And that, not to make excuses for ourselves, but to have an acknowledgement that that is actually motivating, maybe from an unconscious level, some behaviors or ways of acting that that's not in alignment with my essence. That's not in alignment with my being. When we can realize when we're acting from a shadow place, instead of blaming ourselves or being really harsh and judgmental, noticing oftentimes what we're doing is we're we start having these like deeper like beliefs that, wow, I'm wrong, I am that. But it's like we're not those behaviors. They're coming up for healing, for our awareness. And when we can just notice that and bring that self-compassion to, wow, there's something really powerful for healing, and take responsibility. If we cause harm to someone else, maybe we say something really mean to someone else and it causes harm because we were activated and wounded and we didn't really mean it, but it just like came out in the moment. Take responsibility, acknowledge it, apologize with authenticity to that person, do what's needed to make repair. But being just so blaming and shaming on ourselves is not going to get us anywhere. And it's only going to disconnect us from the love that we are. And a lot of this might be coming up with more intensity, the self-doubt, the self-blame, the self-judgment, the harsh inner critic. Usually the harsh inner critic is when the inner child is the wounded inner child gets activated, the harsh inner critic starts coming in and it just starts making things worse. All of this might be up for us with more intensity with this Virgo South node. I feel like, wow, there's no mistake that like the lunar nodes are right here, right while we're in this like really epic equinox time, endings and beginnings of galactic cycles. We have so much invitation to bring so much up and to heal it through that Pisces, the forgiveness, ultimately forgiveness of self and self-compassion of self. When we have that, when we start blaming and judging others, it's because we're doing that on an internal level to self. And there's just something so powerful for healing here. And there's so many ways we can do this. Like there's for each person, you might connect with in a different way. Um, some helpful ways that you might want to explore and consider. I've found exploring like internal family systems to be really powerful, understanding the different parts of myself that have become fragmented and to bring more like integration to them and opening up sometimes one part of self, right? Maybe the wounded inner child gets activated and takes over. And I think all of reality is happening through the lens of perspective of that inner child. And I forget the lens of perspective of my higher self, right? So that can be really powerful. Any of the inner child healing work that might resonate for you could be really, really powerful in this time, because what the Virgo South Node is touching on, the blame, judgment, shame, all of those things, humiliation, like those can be wounds to our inner child that there's some really powerful invitation for healing. For you, it might be like different shamanic practices or energy healing practices. For some people, it might be I go and rest my back against a tree and I get some healing from, the tree, the natural world, Gaia. There's so many different ways that we can all have experienced this type of healing. So I invite everyone to kind of maybe just open up to receiving what, Virgo South Node, what would be a powerful healing modality that would help me support this healing in this process. I do wanted to offer a guided meditation to perhaps support receiving some of the wisdom around this.
Well,
But I
Jamie,
also, before that, I want to open up to you, Martha and Caitlin.
so we maybe that guided meditation could be part of your free offer. Do you have a free offer
Oh,
for us?
yeah.
Because we need to wrap up, and
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, and then
I'll
that
do
way
that.
people can go and listen to it whenever they want, which is be awesome. And just really appreciating the insights, the depth, everything that we've done here. But do you want to speak about your free offer that will now include a guided meditation?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. So I think I'll do that for the free offering. Is the yeah, a guided meditation around this to really connect with our inner child and then really bring in the connection with our inner divine mother and inner divine father to reparent and offer whatever our inner child needs for that healing so we can heal some of that self-judgment and self-blame and shame because ultimately it is about that inner reparenting of ourself that is the healing here.
Beautiful. So, so good. Martha, anything you want to say as we wrap this up?
I've been loving this conversation very, very much, and I think that it is such a beautiful way to go toward the lunar eclipse, and then of course beyond that. But um, yes, and I can throw in. I mean, it's going to be really, really wonderful to have your guided meditation. I can throw in one thought about the ultimate mother, father, in a sense, actually brings us back to a lot of what we were talking about with Gaia and the
Mm.
cosmos, right? That I mean, not that one is necessarily feminine or masculine, whatever, but of course we do think of Gaia often as our mother and maybe the sky as our father or not. But yeah,
And other
that's
cultures have seen it the other way around. So, yeah.
exactly, exactly. I'm not so not putting any labels on it, but we are held ultimately by the earth and the stars, and we that's one way that I think of reparenting ourselves is literally just coming into back into co-regulation with life. And so, yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, this has been so good. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope everyone listening, this has been transformative for you as it has been for us, because I think it's been pretty transformative for us. And be sure to tune in and get Jamie's free gift because it'll be very healing, especially during the whether you can get to it before the eclipse, first eclipse, but definitely hopefully by the second eclipse because we'll be in the eclipse portal as well as the equinox portal as well as so many other things that are going on. So it'll be a very powerful time to engage that. So
Yeah.
thank you, everybody.
Jamie, do you have anything you want to say about your offerings or anything about
Good.
finding you or anything?
Oh, her other option. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
other offering, like in
Yeah.
general. In general.
You can find me at astrologywithjaime.com, Jaime. My YouTube channel is Jaime Goldstein. Um, you can find links on there to other, Instagram and things. But I love to sit in sacred session with one-on-one astrology readings, and every now and then I'll offer a course or something as well. So yeah, yeah.
Yay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye. Mwah.